Hiya! Welcome! We're back with Minidisc Monday edition number 73, and what's more, it's the start of another mini-series within MD Monday, and this one we're gonna hopefully celebrate, some great female artists that I have within my collection. This is the start of Women's Month, and all across August, every Monday, I'm going to be taking a look at a mini-disc album in my collection by a female artist or all-female group. So I hope you're as excited as I am for this series, and I think I've chose a really good album to begin with here. This is an album I've really been looking forward to listening to ever since I last listened to it, which is when I would have bought it many years ago. It is the compilation album Singles by Ms. Alison Moyet.
The first time ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon stars were the gift you gave to the dark and empty sky. The first time ever I kissed your mouth, I felt the earth move in my hand.
So I got this quite some years ago, as I say. It's only the second time I've heard it in full, as I've just finished listening to it. Alison Moyet, I think she would have started her career at some point in the late 70s, but really came to prominence here in the UK and internationally as one half of the electro synth-pop duo Yazoo with former Depeche Mode and future Erasure member Vince Clarke. Before we talk about what's on this album and what I think of it, let's have a look at the case and the contents. The case looks in very nice condition, really. Some very minor scuffs and scratches, and the mini disc is jumping out at me, but that's because I didn't put it back in properly after playing it. The booklet, nice condition, still very glossy for a 30 plus something year old mini disc. Can't really call it a booklet as such, as it's just these 6 pages really, but it gives you all the essential information, the writers, producers, mixers, some other production notes as well. And what I like about this page here with the track listing is it tells you what, if any, album all the tracks came off. This album is also dedicated to the life of Rebecca Jameson Berry, 1962 to 1995. Lovely old-fashioned photo in the middle there. I'm not certain, but I'm assuming that'll be Alison Moyet's parents. So I've always liked Alison Moyet. Her kind of lower register voice really worked with the majority of the music that she set out to make, really. I think she's a very underrated, probably not underrated back in her prime, but certainly a little bit sort of forgotten about now, perhaps. Singer in British music history, certainly over the last 40 to 50 years. A little look at the mini disc, album artwork, flip it right over, and we've got the track listing, Columbia Records logo, and some boring legal stuff. So what do I think about this album? It's great, it really is. And what's good about this album, what makes it even better, is not only is it pretty exhaustive when it comes to Alison Moyet's career regarding her singles, hence the title, but it also includes 3 efforts from Yazoo on here too. 20 tracks on here, quite a long album, weighed in at over 74 minutes, but it didn't feel like a slog at all, like some albums that go well past an hour can do. So we kick off with track number 1, and it's a cover of the folk legend Ewan MacColl's The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. Now that was the lead single from Singles, and it didn't chart, at least not to the best of my knowledge. If it did, it would have been like really kind of low hundreds, I think. Real pity, to be honest. I mean, yes, it is a song that has been covered by a lot of people to differ in success, but it is kind of a folk standard, really, and it really suits Alison's voice. But it's a lovely opener. Great song, always has been, and Alison Moyet's version is certainly the favourite one of it that I've ever heard. Number 2 is the first of the 3 Yazoo songs on here, and it's Only You. Outstanding pop song, Only You. One of the best singles of the 1980s. It was unlucky not to get to number 1 for Alison Moyet and Vince Clarke, but of course the Flying Pickets and their cover would take it to Christmas number 1 later on in the early 80s. Yeah, I don't really need to say too much about Only You. It's a synth pop classic, it really is. Track number 3 is Nobody's Diary, which I think was the lead single from Yazoo's second album, You and Me Both. Another great synth pop song, always loved that. Track 4, Situation, the final Yazoo track on here. One that didn't get released as a single until it was remixed in the 90s, I believe, but very strong and certainly worthy of inclusion on this singles album. So now we get back to Alison Moyet's solo career, as she released her first album, Alf. It would have been in 84, I think. Love Resurrection is decent, good first solo single, or I think it was the first solo single. It's certainly the first one here, as it seems to be in chronological order, apart from the first track on this album. Number 6, All Cried Out, is decent. She sings in that sort of husky way that I guess is maybe a little bit Marmite to certain people. I personally think just kind of like the styles that she was involved in, and there's quite an eclectic album, genre and style-wise, this one. Number 7 is Invisible. That was, I think, written by Lamont Dozier for her. I assumed it might be a cover version of an older kind of Motown or 60s soul track, but no, it was written especially for Alison Moyet, and that was a really good single. Long time since I'd heard that. Number 8 is probably the first kind of slightly weak point on the album for me, and it's That Old Devil Called Love, another cover version. I'm not into sort of lounge jazz or anything, so this doesn't do much for me. But to be fair, it really suits her. She gives it a good go. You know, if you like that sort of thing, then that's a good effort, but it's just not really my cup of tea. Number 9 is This Love. That would have been, I think, the lead single from her second album, 1986's Rain Dancing. That is just an amazing single. It's my favourite Alison Moyet single. I think I even prefer it over all her Yazoo work. It's the standout on the album for me. It should have been a number 1 in 1986, maybe coming into 1987. I heard it on the radio so much, always loved it back in the day, still love it now. Is This Love, which was co-written, albeit under a pseudonym, with Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics. It's her best single, it really is. And she follows it up with number 10, another really strong single from Rain Dancing, Weak in the Presence of Beauty. Another really strong single and one of my very favourites that I've heard from Ms. Moyet. Track 11 is Ordinary Girl. Track 12 is Love Letters. That's another one that isn't massively to my taste. I remember hearing it quite a lot on TV and radio back in the 1980s. I think it may have been a standalone single, could have been off a film soundtrack, I'm not sure. There again, more sort of in the easy listening, slipping at times into jazz kind of genre. It's fine for what it is. Track 13, It Won't Be Long, I think that is from the early 90s. So really Alison's career as a top 10 charting singles artist had now peaked really. And the 90s, yes, she was still having successful enough albums and fairly successful singles, but nothing that was selling as well and as prominent as the stuff from her Alf and Rain Dancing era, really. Number 14, Wishing You Were Here. That and the previous track, nice sort of indie pop type sound, really. She's moving into that kind of sweetened indie style that would be prominent from acts later on in the decade, like the Lightning Seeds, certainly, and, you know, that's quite appropriate, really. as Ian Browdy does produce some stuff on this particular compilation. I'm not sure he's involved in Wishing You Were Here. There's some good jangly guitars in that, or it might be the previous track. I like them both anyway, that one and It Won't Be Long. Track 15, This House. Number 16 is Falling. There again, nothing wrong with them. They're not at the level of her 80s output with Yazoo or her first two solo albums and the singles from them, but decent enough. 17 is what I believe is her final to date top 20 single here in the UK, Whispering Your Name. I remember this quite vividly from the early 90s. It's like a kind of cheesy dance pop kind of hit, really, a little bit camp. Once again, I believe it's a cover version. I believe the video for that song had Dawn French in it as well. Good single. I think it probably deserved to get top 10. There again, not absolutely elite tier Moyet, but it's a lot of fun whispering your name. Number 18, Getting Into Something. And number 19 is Ode to Boy 2. I think those two tracks at least, and I think Whispering Your Name as well, were produced by Ian Browdy. I think the album Essex, which was her fourth album, was produced, or for the most part produced, by Ian Browdy of the Lightning Seeds. And then the final track, track 20, is the other new track and what would be the second single to come from this album, Solid Wood. Nice indie pop song, that some good guitar work throughout this as well. It did chart, that single. It missed the top 40, which there again I think it's a shame, but unlike the first time ever I saw Your Face, at least it placed in the UK singles chart, and it's a great end to a really strong album. This, unsurprisingly, is a massive recommendation from me. Even if it didn't have the Yazoo tracks near the start of the album, this would still be a very strong singles compilation. But the fact that it included 3 of Yazoo's best means this is just a really strong album from start to finish, really. Couple of ones in there, maybe more than a couple, that aren't to my particular taste, but it's great to hear Alison's voice. I love that kind of huskiness and that sort of smoky jazz club nice vibe that she gives to anything that she puts her voice to, really. If you see this around anywhere, and obviously the mini disc will be quite difficult to get hold of, but if you see the CD and it's a good price, then do pick it up. There will have been subsequent Alison Moyet compilations that came after this, but if you want something that really covers her entire singles run from the early 80s with Yazoo right up till the mid 1990s, as this album came out in 95, then this is absolutely ideal. Fantastic album and a great way to kick off Women's Month here, Alison Moyet singles. So there we go. Alison Moyet is episode 1 of Women's Month in Minidisc Monday. I want to say thank you all for watching, with special thanks that go to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and of course we are back in just 7 days time, because we've got 4 more female acts to look at throughout Women's Month here on Minidisc Monday. So please join me next Monday to see who's coming up next. Cheers everyone. See ya!